So a pleasure to be here with you. My friend, Father Jim Bowler, the 10th head of school, headmaster. I'm not sure what your title was back in the day.
Started as principal and then went to headmaster.
Well, so you got a promotion.
Well, whatever you want to call it. The job description was the same. Whether you were principal at that time or headmaster, the buck stopped with you as far as finances went.
Right, but the pay was no better.
No.
During those years at prep, what were the big moments that sort of occurred during your time?
Well, that's such a question because so much happened during my years at prep. And as I pray the whole thing, I just think a lot of it had to do with people who came my way. I really wanted to enhance the academic quality of the school. And some people came along that were very helpful in that. I wanted to appoint, at that time, whatever I was, my title, an academic dean.
Right.
And that brought Bob Parada in. And Bob and I worked well together. I mean, we were two different types. And I think oftentimes he's wondered where I was coming from. And I'd wonder how he got some things implemented
Absolutely.
so quickly. Establishing the Board of Regents totally changed the financial base of the school. My most frustrating thing was to get a retreat program going.
Really?
You know, you can't throw money and get it going. We did a lot of renovations. We were doing something with the science department up in the 4th floor. We moved from McAuliffe. We established an advancement office, expanded the guidance department. We moved theology to 3 to 5 periods, brought hockey into the school budget, established the lacrosse team. Football always remained superb under Earl Avery. You keep going down the lines of everything that happened during those times. So there were really fun years, especially fun years that I really subsequently, but even at the time, felt God's presence with me. And I made a retreat beforehand and kind of made a covenant with, or Jesus made a covenant with me that as long as I pushed the school on the faith of this justice dimension, he would be there. And that's how things worked out.
What a decisive time that you were here. And I think now, we can only probably understand it, right? In retrospect, you laid groundwork that bore fruit even to this day. I mean, when I think about retreat programs and service programs, the academic life of the school, and also the number of legends that you hired who are just now retiring. Yeah. I mean, Dr. Donna Andrade, Bob Ford, Colleen Keltos, Tony Canuel. So, I mean, you really built a team that carried the school through 3 incredible decades. Mm. You mentioned, I don't think I ever knew in our conversations, that you taught a class while you were head of prep. What did you teach?
Theology. Ended up something about Ignatius.
So you had one cohort of boys that you taught, which was great because then you knew, you had your people you knew. How did that help?
All I had to do was go down and stand in the cafeteria and people would come up to me and tell me things that were going on in my school that I just as soon not know about. But I guess I appreciated at least having the knowledge.
Was John Brennan Dean of Men during your time? Or Dean of Students?
He was. I hired John. And I hired him as a guidance counselor, but then the opening came in Dean of Students, and I put him into it.
Another legend that you hired. I think John served 42 years before he retired.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. I have a memory, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this, of I think it was maybe a Jamaica immersion trip that Elliot Gualtier and I were leading, and we had a mass to send the boys off before we were going on a summer. It was probably circa 2012-13 in there when you were talking about, and you came and offered the mass for us with the boys. And I remember you saying at that event how moved you were that lay faculty and leaders were so involved in the charism of Ignatian spirituality. And I'm wondering if you have a sense of sort of where you feel we are in this time of lay collaboration and sharing the charism which you've been so involved in.
It's something I have strong feelings on. Beginning with the Second Vatican Council, great emphasis was put on the role of lay people in the church. The church of the 21st century is dependent on lay leadership. And what the role of the clergy is to support that leadership. Everybody's lamenting a decline of vocations and everything, rather than looking forward to, okay, what might the Spirit be saying to us, and especially about the role of the laity, formation of the laity. The church is going through a major revolution in this whole area. I've always, when I was at Prep and since then, have just viewed my role as supporting lay people in their ministry, collaborating with non-Jesuits. So I look upon it as opportunity rather than as something being lost. But I think we have to look at how are we going to support non-Jesuits in their ministry. And as I was saying earlier today, what type of commitment are we making to those non-Jesuits who throw themselves in with our ministry?
Well, I appreciate all that you've offered. I mean, of course, as a friend and someone who's worked with you in Ignatian spirituality, I'm personally grateful. But I'm grateful as the director of this work for what you've provided, in your own work and ministry, which still bears fruit today. And I'm so glad that we've had this journey with you, and that God led you to and from Prep and to Fairfield in ways that I think will continue to bear fruit and certainly have helped form us. So I offer my gratitude and my thanks to you and for being a leader and a great Jesuit and friend to us.
And I think I just take great consolation as somebody like yourself as head of Prep.
Well, thank you, Jim.
Your press is extraordinary, and Prep is very fortunate to have you.
Well, we're fortunate to have you. Thank you, and God bless.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Thank you.